Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Hello and welcome to Countryside here on Manx Radio. I'm Simon Clark.
And I'm Kirree. Last week I went along to the annual Chrysanthemum Show at the Morton Hall in Castletown.
And I chat with Lee Morris from the Manx Wildlife Trust and some of the volunteers with that great news that they've won the King's Award for Voluntary Services. Well, firstly, before we get into things, Kirree, 50 years of the Texel sheep. You've been away at a bit of an event.
Indeed, it's hard to believe I've been part of it for 25 years. I thought it was a lot older than that, the society itself. The Texel's been around a long time, originally imported from France, predominantly a meat breed. So it was great to celebrate the 50 years of the British Texel there at Cheshire. So it was really, really nice turnout. Yeah,
and what sort of things were they discussing? Have the breeds changed over the years?
More recently, it's become quite a show breed. So the show ring has certainly got it into the public eye. The value of some of the rams sold later in the years have hit 300,000 was the top price ram within the breed. So it definitely is the number one breed for producing meat meat lambs. So it goes off into the commercial flocks and still, like I say, very, very popular within the British flocks.
Yeah, and a big turnout?
Massive turnout, over 200 visitors in total to the gala ball that night, and some great presentations to some of the founder members of the British Sheep Society. It was great to see them all there, all done out. Everyone was in good spirits, and it's been much needed really since COVID. Some of these events haven't happened, so to get everybody together for a good catch-up, and also a massive amount of money was raised by the society itself for the Yellow Wellies Foundation. So that helps with the mental health around the farms and all that's going on across the UK at the moment with Keir Starmer and his announcement. It's much needed.
Well, moving on, the Manx Wildlife Trust do so much fantastic work and such a variety of work around the Isle of Man, many of them being voluntary. And of course, they've been rewarded by receiving the King's Award for Voluntary Services. I went along to speak to a couple of the volunteers who were in the shop at Peel, but firstly, the CEO of the Manx Wildlife Trust, Lee Morris. Well, firstly, Lee, I suppose it's right to say many congratulations to you and your team.
I think humbly, it's the volunteers. This is an award for our wonderful volunteers that set the charity up 51 plus years ago and still are the core of what we do. So it's wonderful. I mean, it's fantastic for the whole charity, including me, but it's really an award for our volunteers.
It's wonderful, even just walking in the shop to speak to you today. The girls are downstairs prepping the shop up, and how beautiful the shop looks as well. And they're going around with the badges on them with a smile on their face. It must be so rewarding for people who give up their free time to do this.
You know, there are different views on awards, but I think they're a wonderful thing. And I'm sure there are people across the world that have never received awards that should have done, but there are also thousands of people that have received awards that should have done. And I think our volunteers at the Wildlife Trust are brilliant. And I've spoke to the girls in the shop this morning and they're excited. You know, even the thought that they'll get a badge with calves on, the MBE for volunteering, and we'll do that. We'll get every one of our volunteers the official badge, and I think that little step, the fact that they wear it with pride, is a great thing. And these are all people that give, lots of hours every week on a whole range of projects and work, core things for us, some things that people just wouldn't want to do and they just do them because they want to help the charity. And I'm sure they're getting a sense of community and support from others from it. There's always a gain, but they are, in some ways very selfless in giving their valuable time to us.
When you see the headline of it, though, it's just really striking, isn't it? King's Award for volunteering.
I mean, yes, and of course with His Majesty the Lord of Man not been long in succession since his mum passed away, the Queen. So to get a King's Award for volunteering so early in his tenure is, again, it's another wonderful moment. It's another part of the wonderful moment.
So how did it come about, Lee?
Well, with all awards, whether they're MBEs, OBEs, Empire Medals, all these things have to be nominated. So we were nominated as a charity. I don't know if I can say who nominated us, but I won't embarrass them. But let's just say senior people in the island away from the charity nominated us, And at that point, I was consulted to make sure that the charity was happy to be nominated and that we would provide information, factually answering questions to support a nomination, which we were delighted to do. And that then goes to Government House, where it needs to be approved by His Excellency.
And he, Sir John and his wife, have been such a part of the Isle of Man in every role of life since they've started their tenure, haven't they?
Yeah, I hope he hears this. I think the whole island feels that have been wonderful. And, I've lived on other islands with governors and, I've seen other governors here and they were all great. But I think the two we've got now are, I think I'd jump out of an aeroplane for him. I think that's really important. And they are patrons of the Wildlife Trust as they are patrons of so many things. But one thing is that I would say is that they have very, very high integrity. And I don't think they would have put us forward and signed off our nomination unless they were, absolutely certain that the volunteers of the charity. And they've seen us now for, the best part of, 3 years. So they've worked with us, they've come out mucking, they've met many of our volunteers in many walks of the work that we do. So to get their support for this award is as much as us getting His Majesty the Lord of Man's support for the award as well. It's really, it's a dual pat on the back, really, dual praise.
So the governor, obviously, and his wife have approved it. What happens then?
Then it goes to Buckingham Palace.
Right. In the letterbox?
I don't know, actually. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how it gets, but it certainly goes. It's a nomination from our governor. That goes to Buckingham Palace, and then there's a process at Buckingham Palace. Whether there's any sifting, I don't know. I've never been involved in that process, but I'm very certain that they are scrutinised. It's not just a tick box. There's a proper and serious process on how these awards are made, because it just reflects so much on the island and it reflects so much on Buckingham Palace that these awards are made with high integrity. So.
Yeah. But I mean, I've come in there. I've seen the girls in the shop. You run the team upstairs here. What sort of work are the volunteers doing around the island?
Do you know, it's amazing. We did a complete catalogue of the volunteers. Not for this. We'd actually done it serendipity. We'd done it just before this award became on the radar. We've got now 500, give or take half a dozen.
Really?
Yeah. Current, and that's existing volunteers. But think from the highest level of governance. So I'm the CEO, but my boss is a volunteer. Simon Kane, the chair of our council, our board, he's a volunteer. All our trustees are volunteers. The people, our treasurer, our secretary, we've got a fantastic team of trustees who give significant time to helping with our governance and our business development and our HR procedures and our safeguarding, and have a strategic oversight on what I'm doing, and what the charity is, how the charity operates. So we start at that level, and then that goes right through the spectrum. Core conservation work, for many years now, our midweek muckers, wonderful. Tuesdays and Thursdays out with our reserves officer, maintaining many, our nature reserves. Fantastic work. And just one example, Alison Skier has been going out volunteering with us for almost 20 years now, every Tuesday and Thursday, in the ditches, in the brambles, in the bracken. And we've got a whole group of them that do that. And then beyond that, we've got the Ballacurry Bashers who look after Ballacurry near Port Erin. We've got a new recent group developed at Onken, the Onken Wetlanders, who are looking after the wetland trust, the wetland site there. And then we've got a whole range of other people involved in marine work, so whether that's seal sitters, people going out to strandings on the beach, sea search volunteer divers, the people that do all the invert data collection, the people that do the butterfly transects, our invertebrate group that are going out mapping what we do in our nature reserves. Then you get to the shops, and then you get to John Howie that comes in our office every week helping with the membership programme, or Helen comes in and she sits at the computer every week and she's going through screens and screens of spreadsheets of biological data that she's tidying up so that we can get that data loaded up into the island's biological database. And I could go on. The shop volunteers, and I'll single one out. Clive Alford. Clive runs the volunteer rota. So he's a volunteer managing volunteers who are all there motivated. to raise money for the charity. And maybe one more volunteer I'll mention which is a lovely story actually. It's really circular. Is that back in 1973 when the charity was when the genesis of Manx Wildlife Trust, William and Felicity Kane, Roger Pullin, Jean Buck and others set up Manx Wildlife Trust. Jean Buck still volunteers for us in the north. She was the first engagement officer of the charity. Felicity Kane comes into our shop every Monday morning and runs the gift shop every Monday morning still. And what's beautiful is that their son, Simon, is now our chair. And I promise you, I was part of the process. He didn't get that handed to him. You know, we had some great applicants for that role, and he won the post. But it was brilliant actually for him then to be the chair alongside his mum when we had our 50th anniversary celebrations last year. So Felicity's still in the shop every Monday, still telling us, you know, things we should be selling, and really still strongly involved. And she was at the talk last night up at Ramsey when we were at the talk on our nature reserves by David Bellamy. So there's right at all levels, from the highest level of governance right through to people delivering our magazine for us when our magazine comes out. As I say, it's amazing. And although I and others in the charity get paid, we are a small paid staff team in the scheme of things. And we really, really, really wouldn't survive without our volunteers. I mean, they really are the core of what Manx Wildlife Trust does.
And the one thing, having great volunteers, of course, they're members of the general public. They've got friends who they pass the word to and maybe get them involved as well, which is another bonus.
We'd love anyone that's listening to this that would love to come and volunteer with us. Please don't think that if you don't want to be in a ditch up to your knees, there are other ways that you can help us. Whether that's crunching data online, you know, helping in the office, coming out, you know, doing strandings work, helping collect data in your own back garden. There's lots of ways that people can get involved with the charity, and we'd love to hear from more people that would like to volunteer with us.
Quick word with a couple of the volunteers then of the Manx Wildlife Trust. Many congratulations. The King's Award. Sounds impressive.
It does. It sounds very impressive, considering you volunteer because you want to do something and you want to help, and you don't expect that sort of recognition. So it's very, very flattering, and I've only been here a relatively short time. There's some people who've been here from day one, and that dedication is being recognised, which is fantastic.
So what did you know about this award? Has it come of a bit of a surprise?
Yes. First time I saw it was the media. Yeah. Saw it in the press. Heard it on Manx Radio. And I think it's great for all the volunteers.
And Julie, you've been here how long helping?
Nearly 2 years now. Yeah. So yes, I was really thrilled to hear this morning.
But it really is a great recognition, particularly for a small place like the Isle of Man, the branch of the Manx Wildlife Trust and everything, to be recognised in such a way with people who give up their own time, and it must mean something special to all the volunteers here.
Yes, I think everybody really enjoys working for the Manx Wildlife Trust as well. Everyone's really friendly and helpful, and it's lovely to know that you are doing something that's helping. So
certainly recognised by the top people on the Isle of Man, and of course in Buckingham Palace, which is more special, I suppose.
It is. It was. It's like we said. It's quite a shock this morning to find out about it. So,
Do you ever don the wellies, the pair of you, and get out with the birds at the dawn choruses and things?
Not here. Have been known to do it further afield, but that's something I would like to get involved in. Is some of the midweek muckers who go out and keep the reserves in good order.
And as Lee says, you know, there's such a variety of people who may be thinking of joining the Manx Wildlife Trust as a volunteer. There's such a variety of things you can do, isn't there?
Yes, definitely. I'd recommend it to anyone really, because you do get some really, you meet nice people and get to know a lot of things that are going on, and it's just nice to give your time to a really nice cause, isn't it? Yes.
And some great Christmas gifts in the shop here.
Absolutely, yes, definitely. And it's good, it's good fun working in the shop, and it's lovely to meet so many people who come in and do their Christmas shopping in the gift shop. So yes, that's exactly what we're doing at the moment.
Well, many congratulations. Great to speak to you both, and pass on our congratulations from Manx Radio to the rest of the volunteering team.
Lovely, thank you very much.
Thank you.
There we are, some of the volunteers from the shop in the Manx Wildlife Trust in Peel. And before that, very delighted Chief Executive Officer of Manx Wildlife Trust, Lee Morris. Fantastic news that, Kirree, isn't it?
It really, really is. The Isle of Man is such a beautiful place, and to have people that are looking after it, like the Manx Wildlife Trust, it's so very important for the future of it.
Yeah, and to be there, the governor, of course, Sir John Lorimer, and his good lady, always behind everything that's going on in the Isle of Man. They've put it forward, and obviously it's gone to Buckingham Palace, and King Charles will be delighted to give them the award, and be so fantastic that they'll all have hopefully special badges and things on them as recognition for all the hard work the volunteers do. And
like you say, they're volunteers. These are people giving up their own time to to make and keep the Isle of Man the way it looks. We are in a really privileged position where the biosphere status recognises what the generations have done before us, and it's great that the Manx Wildlife Trust is encouraging the next generation to look after it and preserve. But a great honour to be nominated for that award, and like you say, they must be proud as punch.
You're listening to Countryside here on Manx Radio with Kirree Kermode and myself, Simon Clark. Well, there's been more great exhibitions down at the Morton Hall in Castletown that you were attending last week.
Indeed, the colour was just magnificent as you went through the door, and the smell of chrysanthemums just filled the room, alongside the great chocolate cake though. So I went along to catch up with who won the Best in Show, but also catch up with the committee members, Dew and Gill. Well, Dew and Gill, you're the treasurer here of the Chrysanthemum Society. We're here today in Morton Hall. Great show as always.
Yeah, brilliant show. Great confectionery, great flowers, great veg, and good turnout at the moment. And like I said, we're just about to start the auction, and that's obviously we rely on that and the raffle for our income so we can still keep doing give prize money out.
And how many years has the show been running now?
It started, I think, I've got to be careful, I think it was 1957.
Wow, fantastic.
Unfortunately, there's none of the original members left. The last being Jimmy Oates, who sadly passed on last year. Yeah. So, and of course, none of us are spring chickens anymore.
Hang on now, there's plenty of life left in you.
Well, we do need more young ones. To get to the standard of Michael, they would have to put work in, but when you see the results today,
fabulous.
It's worth it. And a younger man or a younger woman, because they've got more energy than us old buggers, But it's worth it. But they don't have to be winners. Enjoy it. Enjoy the hobby.
And saying that, might come away here today with a whopping 13 silver trophies and shields.
Well, the ones need to come in, have a look, see what his standard is, and say, do you know what? I'm going to aim for that. Yeah. I'm going to have some of his trophies next year or the year after or the year after. Because that's the only way you're going to beat him.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. The flowers that he's just packing up there now, and they are absolutely, what a striking colour, that pink, a pinky purple colour.
Yeah, it's a purple. It's a single called Zusi. And all got fancy names, these chrysanths.
And you're a prize winner today also, talking of pinky purple. This potted chrysanthemum is beautiful.
They're charms, these.
And what's the difference with them to the ones that are on the table?
Well, these remain in the pot, and they're smaller. They're a dwarf plant. Different type altogether. Grow them in the garden if you want.
So anybody can have a go at doing this then?
Yeah, exactly. You can buy them from any nursery. You can take cuttings from the likes of these, come like March time, and stick them in the garden, and you can basically forget about them. And I've seen them in people's gardens.
But they're huge, aren't they? They've bloomed into something beautiful this year.
They really should be double the size of that, at least.
Okay.
If they're growing to a certain level.
And what type of year has it been for growing?
Well, for me, it hasn't been a good year. But everybody's had the same weather, haven't they? So.
And is the weather changing much?
Kirree, we're like farmers. The weather's never right for us, is it? It's either too hot, it's too wet, it's too windy. But it's there every year, so you've got to face it, and get on with it, haven't you?
And what type of effort went into growing that beauty?
Not a lot. Once you've got your cuttings, you just stick them in a 3-inch pot, then progress to, say, a 5 or 6 inch pot, and then put it in a 10, 11-inch pot. give it a twist every week, so it's getting a bit of even sunshine on either side, and it should keep it growing even more circular.
Yeah. And it does, it looks well, doesn't it?
That one is actually called Purple Haze.
Beautiful. It really is beautiful, isn't it?
That's a morning star, unfortunately.
The bright yellow one, What would be your favourite chrysanthemum?
Do you know what? Over the years, I've changed. Because when I first started growing, I never liked the singles and I never liked the Japs. But I love them now. I was always an incurve man.
Oh, I see,
and I suppose if I wanted to grow one to a standard I would like, I would stick still to the incurves. And Michael's got some fantastic ones.
And they're like pom-poms, aren't they?
They're perfectly round, perfect round, finished on top.
They are beautiful.
And another thing, you've got to keep your chrysanthemums clean.
Oh, these are striking, aren't they?
No pests, no fungal diseases. Keep them clean, and it makes such a difference. And of course, once one's infected in your garden, they will pass out, go on to the others. It's like getting the measles, I suppose, and going to school.
Everyone in the class.
Everybody gets it.
But the weight in the heads and the flowers.
Well, some of them are magnificent. Obviously, there's different sizes of plants. They're designed that way. There's mediums, there's larges, there's varieties. But what I would like to suggest to people, if they can, join the National Chrysanthemum Society.
Okay.
They can do it online. I think for a year's membership, it's something like 24 quid, and they'll get booklets, they get access to videos, they also get access via phone calls or emails to top growers all over the country, which will give them advice if they can, and they're all approachable. They haven't got any secrets.
No.
People say, oh, they must have a secret. They haven't got any secrets. They're just dedicated people.
Hard work.
Yeah, and put the time in.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to get anything if you just throw it in if you throw it in a pot, let it grow, you ain't going to get this.
No, this is just...
You need to...
We are so lucky on the island to have this on our doorstep. The children that I've spoken to today, you know, they just want to come and have a go next year.
Yeah.
You know, they're taking part in some of the confectionery classes to start with. But if they get the knack for this will carry on for years.
You've seen, I think you've spoken to young Stanley, is it? Yeah, with his big marrow.
Amazing.
Yeah, you see, that there, we've got him at a young age. Even if he forgets it for the next 10 years or 15 years, by the time he's 30, he thinks, do you know what? I remember that show. I'm now 30. I'm going to start doing so. I'm going to, you know, when he's
more time on their hands,
you know, the going to the pub and the girl days are behind him. He's married and you know he's settled down a bit. So you
come back to it. A nice hobby.
A nice hobby to come back to.
Isn't it, John?
Yeah. Hopefully he'll just carry on through. But you know.
But I'm going to try and catch a word with Mike Pemberton here.
Yeah, have a word.
Do you reckon he'll speak to me?
He's nice. He doesn't grab the light, doesn't like the limelight, but he deserves a bit. And he does put a lot of time in.
Yeah. Well, Mike Pemberton, absolutely massive congratulations. 13 trophies, plaques, shields to go home with. But what is striking is the absolute quality and dedication and the look of these plants on display today.
Well, I've done my best, I can say that. They've just come out in the last 2 weeks probably.
Really? Has it been a tough year on them?
Yeah, it was a slow year for me anyway. It was a poor summer, of course, hasn't it? And it slowed them down. And
are these grown in a greenhouse, or how do you grow them?
No, they're grown outside all summer. They stand outside, so it does depend on the weather, but you've got to look after them in the summer. There's not a big lot to do all summer, but you've got to do it all the time. So, yeah, and they flower in the greenhouse, so they come in just the end of September, they come in this year.
Oh, I see. So they do most of the growing outside, and then for the show side of it, they're just getting ready to perfect them in the last sort of few weeks.
Yeah, it's just to get the blooms to develop. So as soon as they show colour and they start coming out, you just need to look after them then. There is a fan on in there if the temperature gets too high, and also a dehumidifier, which seems to help.
Wow. But the colours, they're absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, well, this is down to keeping them cool, really. Especially the deeper colours. If they get too hot, they tend to fade a bit.
Oh, okay, right. So see, when you do see a variety, within the yellow section, I suppose you can see it more so, they're all supposed to be the vivid yellow, and it just depending on their environment change, or is it just the breeding, the genetics?
Well, yeah, they're all a little bit different. They do have, they're with their own variety, and some are light, some are dark, but judges know what they're meant to be, and if it's a real deep colour, they have to be sort of shaded, so they're shaded in the greenhouse. There's,
the ones that we
direct sunlight.
particularly liked today was the ones with the silver medal winners. They look so different from the rest of the array on the table, the Zeusies.
Yeah, Zusi, that's a single, that, yeah.
Wow.
And they've come just nice in the last week, really. Before that, you wouldn't have given them much hope. But and that was in a set of 3, and there was the 3 at the back. That's the first time I've grown them, so I'll give them another go. I'm still learning on them, but they're okay.
So, Mike, just going back, how did you ever get involved with this? You're a young man still. How did you get started?
Well, thanks very much. I never took much interest. I mean, it was my dad's thing, really. I think he started, I don't know, I think it was, his name appears 1967, I think.
Wow, that's fantastic.
On one of these trophies here. So that was him growing then, and I was kind of around it when I was a kid, and never took any notice of it. And it was only after he died, I thought, well, there's a greenhouse here, and there's some chrysanthemums and some cuttings. I'll just have a little play with that, and that's about it's 11 or 12 years ago now, and that's me.
And is it quite addictive?
It is addictive, yeah. It's a bit over addictive, really, because I start off with, I expect over 100 plants, you see, when I take cuttings off them.
Whoa,
so in February,
that's a lot of work.
Yeah, well, I don't keep them. You've got to be a bit ruthless and get rid of some of them, and to suit your greenhouse. So I can get 85, I think, in my greenhouse comfortably, and get around them, But any more than that, it's just a struggle.
So how much time would it take daily to tend to them?
Well, there's not a lot. February is okay. You take your cuttings. There's not a lot. They just need a drop of water. And then moved on into a bigger pot, so start at 3.5 into a 5-inch pot. Not a lot to do there, and then the big job is probably potting on June time and stand them out in the ground then. Wind can be a bit of an issue as much as anything like.
Have you got quite a sheltered garden where you
are?
No,
it's not great where I am at the minute, but I've got to move anyway next year. But the trouble with that is, it doesn't matter what I've been doing now with my stopping dates. If you change it where you are, your location, then it'll change your timing. So it'll be a bit of a guess when I first move over there. It will be different because it all depends on who's growing them, really. I mean, some people will go to the exact date and, they've got to do it on, we'll say it's in May or it's in June, and they'll be, practically to the hour, really. But, I mean, if you move, you could have 2 people next door to each other and it would be a different result just because of the amount they watering or feeding or whatever you're doing to them, I suppose.
And do you take any hints and tips from the National Association across the water?
Yeah, I do now. Yeah, there's Facebook page and all that, and I am a member of it now. First time ever, actually. I've only joined it bizarrely, about 6 months ago. So yeah, and during the winter they will have Zoom meetings, and you can learn a lot there. Like anybody could, pick it up. So.
That is it. And I see your grandchildren here today taking a massive interest. It's fabulous.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think that's more their mother. Like she's the baker, and it's a bit of a funny show this year because there's also a lady here that's who's won the best confectionery. So there you are.
Fantastic. But I think the show is very special. Talking to you in that, it's been going a good number of years. We've got to keep this type of thing going. The Isle of Man is special, and these kind of shows are extra special.
Well, they are, yeah, and there is a lot of history with it. That's the thing about it, you see. And you just try your best and hope it does keep going.
And I suppose, like you said, the social media will certainly help pushing things out there, reaching different audiences now. Yeah,
it does help. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And but anybody who wanted to give it a go, there's no problem with getting cuttings. They're not going to be charged for it, and they get all the help they wanted if they want it. But they've got to kind of start in February to do it, really. So it's a long season, but there's not a lot in the early season. Later on there is. You've got to water every day, and there's quite a bit to that.
Yeah.
And when they're flowering, of course that's the best time of the whole season.
It's beautiful.
You can go in the greenhouse there and just sit in there. You don't have to do anything, but just sit in there, and
it's all your handiwork. It's all the hard work coming to the fore. So how would they get in touch, Mike, if you're able to give a bit of assistance or support with getting started?
Yeah, anybody can ring the secretary of the society, and she'll pass on messages or whatever. And there is always plenty of cuttings, at the right time of year, and anybody could have them, really.
Who knows? Bit of competition next year then.
Well, let's hope so. We need more in the novice section, really. Yeah, that would be a big help.
So here I am with Stanley Watterson. Now, Stanley, I think you've got the biggest exhibit in the whole of the show here at the Chrysanthemums. So what is this?
So it's a Mara, and me and my dad grew it, and every Sunday we put carbook on. And
do you think that's the magic trick to make it grow?
And also we did water it every day and once a week, just to make sure, and on Saturdays. And we also did our friends helped us, and it's just turned out ginormous.
It's turned out ginormous is absolutely right. Now tell our listeners, what colour is that? Is that yellow?
It's kind of yellow and kind of broccoli green.
Broccoli green and yellow. And it is absolutely massive. Do you know how heavy it weighs?
About 30.
30 pounds? Goodness me. So today you've come away with first in class, and your dad, Tony Watterson, he's come away with third in class. Are you pleased?
Yeah.
Yeah, really happy?
Yeah.
And did you have to do anything to prepare it for today? Did you have to wash it or anything like that?
No, we didn't.
Just took it out of the garden and brought it here?
Yeah, well, I didn't really know, because my dad brought it on the tractor and I'm not allowed to go because I'm not 16.
You had to get the tractor to bring it here. Wow, this is fabulous. And your school friend is here also. Florence, you've got some entries in the show, or your family has anyway. What have you brought along?
Some chrysanthemums.
And they are beautiful, aren't they?
And my mum did cakes, and she's come first a lot.
I saw that she got first in the Victoria sponge and first in the chocolate cake class. Did you help her make them?
Not really.
No?
And I brought the trophies in this morning.
The trophies are so shiny, aren't they? Did you help polish them?
No, my dad polished them. My granddad did the flowers and my mum did the cake.
So it's a big family effort, isn't it? One day, are you going to have a go at taking part, Florence?
I might do it next year with the vegetables.
Oh, okay. Are you going to have a competition against Stanley with the big marrow?
I don't know.
Maybe something else? What's your favourite? What do you reckon you'll grow? Some carrots, maybe?
Probably some...
There's tomatoes as well, isn't there?
Carrots.
Carrots. Yeah, we'll go for carrots. Which is the favourite colour chrysanthemum in here today?
My favourite colour? The pink ones and the purple ones.
They are beautiful, aren't they? And do you help your granddad grow the chrysanthemums?
I sometimes water them.
Do you? And he spends a lot of time doing this, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you proud of him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
There we go. That was Ewan Gill, the treasurer of the Manx Chrysanthemum Flower Show. And the winner, Mike Pemberton, along with two youngsters, Stanley Watterson and Florence Pemberton.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? And I've been lucky enough to be invited to that Chrysanthemum Society show before. And it is a wonderful array of colours when you go in. The smell is beautiful, isn't it?
It is just splendid, the work and hours that Mike was saying that goes into presenting the blooms for that day. It's a whole year's worth of work just to be presented in a little village hall like that there. But it's just the passion that they had. 70 plus years the show has been running over the 2 days, and everyone coming and taking part in the confectionery, the jams and whatever else. But even the ones that don't compete, they come back to the auction in the afternoon where Murray Kringle sells all of the homegrown, homemade produce. It's just a great little village society show that just needs to keep going for years to come.
It is brilliant. Well done to all involved in that. Well, we're back next week at 5:30 next Tuesday. If you miss any parts of the programme or you want to catch up with some of the previous Countryside programmes, go to manxradio.com and you can download the podcasts there for free, or the Listen Again feature, and many other Manx Radio programmes as well, available to listen at your pleasure. We're back next Tuesday at 5:30. So until then, from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kirree Kermode.
We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.